High-speed straights, heady elevation changes and dramatic corners. What is there not to love about today? It's qualifying day here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Okay, good job, mate. Really, really well done. That was a fantastic drive. Bring it home.
And that's it for sprint qualifying. Plenty more coming up over the rest of the weekend, so we'll see you all tomorrow. So it's all about speed in today's sprint, not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high-quality racing as well. Simply put it, there's no place quite like it. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, and Piastri, Russell, Tsunoda, Albon, and Carlos Sainz, Ocon, Lawson, Nico Hülkenberg, and Antonelli, Doohan, Stroll, Pierre Gasly, and Ollie Behrman. Bortoletto and Isaac Hadjar rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. And alongside me today, former Formula One driver and former world champion too. See, told you I'll give you a big intro. Anthony Davidson, hello. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? what do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Okay, let's have a comms check, please. Radio check.
Radio check.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. DRS now enables. DRS enables. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. Okay, we've lost a position. That's us down a place.
That's how we do it. Work together as a team.
So with the sprint concluded, join us next time for qualifying and of course the main event, this weekend's Formula One Grand Prix. We'll see you next time. High-speed straights, heady elevation changes and dramatic corners. What is there not to love about today? It's qualifying day here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Excellent lap. We're all very, very pleased with that one. Nice work. Come on, I'll see you back in the pits.
Guys, that's the best qualifying we've had.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and the track action will be getting underway very shortly. I've got Anthony Davidson, Naomi Schiff alongside me. Before we focus on that, Naomi, I'd just like us to consider some of these big rumours that are circulating at the moment about driver moves up and down the paddock. Just how distracting is it to focus on putting in strong performances at the same time as negotiating your future?
Well, it can be a really big distraction, particularly for the drivers who are out of contract at the moment. And for them, it's going to be the challenge of managing what they're doing off track and compartmentalizing that from what happens on track, because we know that this next decision in their career is going to be a big one. So that can put a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but you don't want that to put so much pressure on your shoulders that you start overdriving, making mistakes, because in this sport, you can go from hero to zero in an instant.
I mean, easier said than done, Anton. As we pass by a driver now who's considering their future, even if you've got a contract, they're not necessarily even worth the paper they're written on. You've got to keep putting in really big, impressive performances.
It's an industry that demands perfection from not just the team, but the drivers as well, first and foremost. So if you start to relax in any way, even if you have a multi-year deal in place, like you say, not worth the paper it's written on, because you can be kicked out before you know it. If the performances start to slip, the team will have their eye on you straight away and you'll be out the door.
So no room for complacency. Let's see who can put in some big performances on track today. All the action up next. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome then, as we take a step back into the nostalgic golden days of motorsport. Spa is unashamedly a throwback, and all the better for it. Climbs, drops, sharp turns, chicanes, sweeping high-speed corners, all while taking in some of the most beautiful scenery that Europe has to offer. This might sound like a travel brochure, but it's not. It's a race day. Welcome along to Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. Spa-Francorchamps then, a historic 19-corner circuit with a lap distance of 4.35 miles. There's over 100 metres of elevation change here, and with long stretches of the lap spent flat out, a good top speed will be vital for success. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Tsunoda, Charles Leclerc and Antonelli, Ocon, Verstappen, Sainz and Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Pierre Gasly and Stroll, Hülkenberg, Bortoletto, Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson. Doohan and Ollie Behrman rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. And alongside me, a man, well, what more can I say? But he's a legend, Anthony Davidson. And let's talk momentum with this driver. What a sprint it was. They start at 0 once again for today, but with a huge amount of confidence, surely. Well, they'll definitely be glad that there's not a sprint race today. Let's face it, the sprint couldn't have gone much worse, but what we're looking for today is a reaction. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Okay, radio check, radio check.
Radio check.
can now use DRS. DRS now available. Got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Okay, Lewis. Right, we've got some clear track in front of us, so let's make best use of it and make the next lap a quick one. You got this.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great stuff. You hit that target. Really good job. Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race. Final lap. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 7.5 seconds.
Let's go. Great job, guys. That was a tough race.
And extending his already record-breaking winning record, it's Lewis Hamilton to the line for victory.
And of course, that's now 4 race wins in a row. They've got the momentum now, and it's starting to turn into a bit of a dominance.
From lights out to the checkered flag, each and every driver has this moment in the back of their mind. Now it's time for their celebrations. Our podium, it awaits. And back on the top spots that he's taken so often in the past. So well done to Lewis Hamilton. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.